Pittsburgh is one of the world's greatest robotics hubs, but it wasn't always that way. With the collapse of the steel industry there in the 1980s, Pittsburgh was devastated and it looked like it was doomed. The city reached out to robotics, nurtured it, and with that nurturing and a lot of hard work came greatness. Surprisingly, not enough people know about Pittsburgh's plight and transformation. As Joel Reed, executive director of the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, put it when asked, Pittsburgh is a bigger, more capable, and more influential robotics center than the world knows. So true. I found out the hard way. So there I was, speaking with the brain trust charged with transforming Korea's Daegu City into Asia's largest robot technopolis, and I mentioned Pittsburgh as a model on how robotics can be so transformative for a city. With great interest, but mostly unaware of what took place in Pittsburgh, they asked how Pittsburgh related to Daegu City. They knew very little about Three Rivers other than the famous CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, a hotbed of robotics. I told them that probably no other city in the world owes as much to its revitalization as Pittsburgh does to robotics. That immediately piqued their curiosity. They wanted to know more. Although Daegu City, which is a population of about 2.5 million, is bustling and one of Korea's most successful cities, and certainly far from the devastation of Pittsburgh in the 1980s, its rendezvous with robotics may be equally enriching. All of which got me to thinking, how many should know about Pittsburgh but don't? Here's a bunch of folks 7,000 miles away who want to know more and are sure that Pittsburgh's rise as a robot metropolis could help their cause. My next thought was, what a perfect story of Thanksgiving to publish during Thanksgiving. Homage to Pittsburgh. How robotics saved a city. Pittsburgh from dying steel town to Global Robotics Hub. I asked good friend Henry Lenard, lifelong Pittsburgh resident and a former writer for the Pittsburgh Business Times, to share with our readers how Pittsburgh pulled off this remarkable renaissance. At the peak of the Pittsburgh steel industry in the early 1970s, writes Henry, it employed more than 90,000 workers. By 1980, that number dropped to 44,000. In the mid-1980s, the entire industry collapsed, with massive layoffs and mill closures. By 2000, 29 steel companies in Pittsburgh had declared bankruptcy. Pittsburgh's unemployment rate reached 17% in 1983, and the city was losing more than 4,000 people a month. Its aspiring middle class was cratering, never to return. And that was just the economy. The health of the city was worse.
Historically, the air quality issues in Pittsburgh, you could qualify them as severe.
It was a grim city, a city you could taste in your mouth, a city that smarted in your eyes.
If you go back to the 1940s and 1950s, life expectancy, particularly for people who worked in industrial facilities, wasn't much above 50, 55 years old.
In the years since, Pittsburgh remade itself with robotics, artificial intelligence, advanced manufacturing, and software. Hundreds of new robotics and other high-tech companies dot the landscape and are thriving, which in turn has transformed the city. Pittsburgh's growing in population for the first time since the 1950s, and now features regularly in lists like the hottest cities of the future. And it's all due to robotics. I liked Henry's Pittsburgh Renaissance article so much that I quickly commissioned another from him. This time, let's look at Pittsburgh's future. Where is it bound in this burgeoning age of robots and automation? So next month, Henry's Part 2 will tell us. In the meantime, Pittsburgh, from dying steel town to Global Robotics Hub, awaits your reading pleasure at This Is Robotics page for Black Friday's special at Asian Robotics Review. Food for thought. Wouldn't it be awesome if Pittsburgh and Daegu City hooked up as sister cities and cross-pollinated each other with robotics? What cool things could come of that? Maybe a few among Pittsburgh's robotics elite many might set up a branch in Daegu City, and a few from Daegu City might head to Pittsburgh. How sweet would that be?